You know, while we're let's take a little break here, and here, hold on. Let's reset our brightness. That's the nope. That's not right. Is it that one? Nope. How about this? Well, then Cthulhu, you would be playing a Ubisoft game, and that would be worse. Because nothing good to say about Ubisoft's Avatar game. All right. Sea of Thieves. So this is really not going to be a significant chunk of stream to any degree. There's nothing particular I want to do. So there was a double experience like almost a week from the 20th to the 25th for their 6th anniversary. Problem is, Season 11 continues to have issues. They introduced legendary bottles, legendary messages in a bottle. For that entire period of time, they replaced all the standard messages in a bottle, but not coral ones, oddly enough. So they're like, yeah, you guys don't need kingly loot. There are other ways you can get that. They were basically just like a purple glow, and you get like an Athena themed bottle. The problem is that the rewards for them remind me of like, even though Athena levels, now that they can go to 100 and beyond for distinction, it just, further goes to show how slow the Athena grind is for no reason. Because like you would get like a 1 or 2 trinkets in like a collector's chest, or you'd have a rare chance of getting a chest of legends. And even the chest of legends in retrospect is not worth a lot. It's only worth like 8 to 11k with no emissary rep, no emissary grade. So it was really not a particularly valuable alternative to anything else, and I'm kind of glad that they're gone. I also did I was just trying to figure if that was new or not, but no, it's not. I also did a. Oh, we can do this in safer seas. I did a Legend of the Veil that ended in a very embarrassing way while I was trying to level up Athena's. I was trying to like level up the emissary ledger before the month is over. I did it, got to the very end, and then as I was parking my boat, it apparently sprung a leak. And with all their recent like loot rebalancing for raid events and whatnot, it seems that they've introduced an issue for the Legend of the Veil where there was like triple the Ashes of the Damned, like merchant crates and Skulls of the Damned. Not the Chest of the Damned for whatever reason, just the Skulls and the Ashes. And so it took forever to offload all those stacks, and I would literally like think the game was rubber banding me, and then I would specifically look at like a skull or some Ashes of the Damned, and I would grab one, and there would just be more in the same pile, and there would be like 3 or 4 sets of them. So because it took me so long to offload my ship, I just heard the dum in the distance of the ship sinking, and I'm like, that's weird. What noise is that? What caused that? Wait, that's the ship sinking noise. Wait, my ship! And yeah, sure enough, I was able to put everything back on shore. And then, once you sail out of range, the the Legend of the Veil islands disappear and your loot just floats in space. So I was able to recover it all, but I lost my Athena emissary grade. And then so I sold everything, all the Athena stuff at grade 1, and then I could switch over to Guild Emissary to sell the rest. And honestly, it was terrible. From like a Suds map, one of Suds puzzle map, and the final sequence with all the garrisons and whatnot, all that loot only really amounted to like 30k emissary rep. And then I went and did a skeleton fort because I figured that it was a similar amount, and yep, it's about the same. Except, you know, Legend of the Veil takes so much more time. So pretty much, like, with Legend of the Veil, if you don't get a shipwreck graveyard, it's not worth your time. Which is fine now that we have the raid voyages, I suppose, but it just goes to show how tedious Athena's was and how much it needs a rebalancing now that it's been turned into a quote-unquote regular trading company like the other factions. And it's just really hard to grind for no particular reason. However, that does not solve the problem where there's an achievement for completing specifically 100 Legend of the Veil voyages. So, I have been doing some commendations. You'll notice that I have a fancy skelly colors. We showed off the Ritual of the Flame last we played. So if we go and check that out. So I was repping the Iron Beard for a little bit, but I kind of prefer the bandit mask with the bomb embedded in my skull. It's pretty fun. Got some cool like chains on the wrist and like an Iron Maiden. I forget what they call these like iron framework things they use for like hanging people. Got that like pot lid shield. And we've still got the Reaper pants because I like the black pants. Then we got the swag shorts, and then these rags and bones lower body, which I'm tempted to use because it mentions rag and bone. I spent a long time getting those. Like the red bones or whatever, but I like this because it glows in the dark. I decided not to grind any more PvP for my own sanity, be responsible for once. So that's staying at 100, but I still need to kill a pirate wearing the Ghostly Curse, and I'll get a cool head option, which is going to be like a blindfolded. Wait, hold on. Did I choose the right option? It's like a blindfolded skeleton with a tricorn. So continue and then dive. Yeah, okay. So we spawned at my favorite outpost, Sanctuary. Wow, that was loud. Jesus Christ, calm down. There was also a bug. I'm not going to talk about it or how to do it, but there were some test voyages that were available in the voyage selector that people were getting by accident, allowing them to get boxes of wondrous secrets, boxes of ancient chest of ancient tributes, and then the chest of fortune as well. So this season continued to be riddled with bugs. Oh, and when I decided to do that skeleton fort to test my theory that it was just as profitable as a low end like Veil of Legends or Legend of the Ancients, Legend of the Veil. Fuck, just say all the words until I get it right. the glitch that was introduced at the very beginning that they supposedly fixed multiple times, where after diving you can't interact with your harpoons, that happened. So thank goodness, you know, the raid voyages give less loot and now less loot but of a higher value than they used to. So it's now faster to offload. That said, I think the Athena loot is still worth less because the raid voyages don't have, there isn't new Athena loot, so there's nothing that's worth that higher value for the Athena stuff for some reason. Like sure you get like the talisman that they introduced, like the new like raid specific stuff for each faction, and those are worth a lot. But I don't think they are off, their value is offset to make up for the low value of the rest of the loot. So I had to drag all that onto my ship by hand. It was quite a mess. So with all the great new things that they announced for season 12, 13, and 14 during their anniversary celebration, I really hope they spend the rest of this season fixing all the bugs that are currently in, especially with the PlayStation 5 release just around the corner, like late next month. Hope they're able to smooth things out, because there's some exciting stuff. They're adding a double-barreled flintlock. Actually, I think it's called double-barreled pistol to be specific. Looks like a sawed-off shotgun, and you can either have 2 shots, shorter range than a pistol, but longer range than a blunderbuss and more accurate. You can also charge it to fire both shots at the same time, and it seems like that potentially might insta-kill. So they might do reduced damage, like only 50 each or something like that. Hard to say. They're introducing throwing knives, which can be used as like a quick stab or an overhead, slower but more powerful stab. And you can throw them, and when thrown you can reload them at an ammo crate. But it's not clear yet how many you'll get to use as like throwing weapons. And other players can also grab them and then throw them back at you. But it isn't clear how that will be handled, because that'll presumably be a third weapon on their person. But I don't know if it's going to behave like a throwable in that context, or if it's going to behave like a tool, like picking up a trident, for example. And if it does perform like that, then you might not be able to do certain things like sprint and whatnot. So that might be a very limited option, unless you literally just grab it, turn around, and throw it immediately. They're adding a grapple gun, like a harpoon gun that you can bring around with you and use to do various things with. They're adding grapple walking, or harpoon walking, so you can harpoon things in the world and other ships, and you can walk along. Cool. Game's working great. So this has apparently been happening a lot for people doing Hourglass PvP, as they've been diving to Hourglass and then getting disconnected. There's apparently a patch on Friday to fix server errors, but that hasn't been fixed. I'm trying to demonstrate something about the shores of Gold Tall Tale. So if you want that checkpoint, which you can then load at any point, and that'll put the shroud breaker on your ship and allow you to sail into the shroud, you have to at least play up to I think you have to get the Gold Hoarder's coin. Okay, so it did bring us to the location. So you'll see that now we are at Galleon's Grave. So loading that checkpoint always brings you to Galleon's Grave for whatever reason. It doesn't actually bring it. They don't want to bring you straight to Tribute Peak for whatever reason. And always just respawns you here at Galleon's Grave, and it makes you sail all the way to Tribute Peak. But you'll notice something here. But remember, all the NPCs are named after their jobs. So, you know, the shipwrights, you know, their name starts with S. The merchants, their names all start with M. They also use very similar NPC models so that, you know, you can spot them out. There are significant differences to them, but they'll generally have a similar build. So, you know, the shipwrights are generally the thick mamas. You know, the merchants are usually nerdy gals. But you'll notice that senior trader Marley is new.
It's me, Marley.
And
Remember,
this is because Marley is based on a rare employee that transitioned. So that is super fucking cool. And there was some fun stuff that they were doing on their Twitter account, where like one of the social media coordinators made like a fan cam for Marley. That was pretty great. So it's nice to see that kind of stuff in game. Really now? So they did update certain spawn rates. Like, sharks aren't spawning as much as they were in the beginning of the season, and they've made it so that after defeating a skeleton ship, there should be a longer period of time before the next one spawns. However, I'm not sure if those changes necessarily apply to safer seas, where that's always kind of been an issue. There was also a problem where this season skeleton ships have not been able to repair themselves. So a lot of people doing the Fleet of Fortune to get the Chest of Legends, you could really just shoot the galleon like once and then just wait for it to die on its own. So I may have done a bit of farming and completed that achievement. And I was grateful for it, honestly, because, what the fuck? Why do I have a pistol? That's bizarre. Hello, Kitzel. Welcome on in. How you doing? I have nothing else bugged out when we disconnected. Yeah, there's some new emotes I've yet to equip. Oh, there's one. Oh, yeah, the blow bubbles emote. Let's do that. No, I wasn't aware there was a FF16 crossover event. Yeah, 16 is the latest. Still waiting for it to get a PC release. I know that they're currently working hard on it because the director of 14, who also worked on 16, wants it to not be the disaster that the last couple Final Fantasy PC ports have been. So notice that we have the Gold Hoarder coin. The server error has caused the Shroudbreaker to not be on our ship, but we should be fine. So the plan here is I want to showcase something that I'm thinking of doing either on or off stream as like a little event. Oh yeah, when you get disconnected from the server, it forgets your guild and you lose the pin, which is annoying because you then have to add it back in the next time you play High Seas. And you'll notice that it's now disappeared from the top left here. But one of the longer tasks in Sea of Thieves is the legendary hunter of the Sea of Thieves, which requires you to get all the grade 5 fishing commendations. So for most fish, it's 50. For rare fish, like the Umber Splashtail, you're looking at 10. But there's also another rare one, which is Treacherous Plunder. So Treacherous Plunder refers to trash that you can dig up while fishing, specifically without bait. And it's the most rare kind of thing to end up on your fishing line. And it can be some other things that don't count, like it can be a plank of wood or an ashen key. Those will not count. It specifically has to be like an old boot, an old hat. I think it could be an old skull as well, with some barnacles on it. And they're very rare. And so what people do, there are a few good spots for this. Most people recommend, at least initially, they recommended going to a pond on a fort, because skeletons won't spawn there when you're idling. You can, you got, it specifically has to be a little bit of water where pondies can spawn, because if fish can't spawn in the water there, then it won't count as a fishing spot. There's also a little cave underneath the spire on Ancient Spire. It's a little frustrating because you can catch pondies there, but it's such a small space you'll lose most of them. But you're right near the sovereigns in high seas, so you can just quickly go and sell your Treacherous Plunder there. Because that is the frustrating thing about doing this in safer seas, is that you can't make use of the sovereigns. But the most popular method is to go to Tribute Peak, because there is a glitched pond that will cause any fish to despawn. But Treacherous Plunder will not, because Treacherous Plunder does not thrash around. Yeah, unfortunately, MGP means nothing to me. I don't play 14 myself, but it sounds like that's a lot. And imagine, since you mentioned the Golden Saucer, that you're probably playing like casino games and stuff like that. There's some really grindy casino stuff in Grand Blue Fantasy, which is a gacha game, and I played once upon a time. I don't really play it quite so much anymore. Well, I mean, you saw me stream the action RPG that's based on it. I haven't really played it properly for like a year. I've been trying to get back into it, but like, there's some things picking up back after it. Like, I was trying to get one of the Eternals, which requires just an absolutely massive grind of like upgrading a particular weapon that allows you to recruit them, and then you have to upgrade extra copies of the weapon to salvage into items that are needed to level them up, and blah 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 blah. So like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, so I have like 2 copies of this thing, and I don't know what stage they're at, and I don't know if I was actually going to use this as a weapon or why I was holding on to this version of it. And like, I spent like a good 30 minutes reading through the wiki about like, why do I have these things specifically? And I honestly couldn't figure it out. I just kind of gave up and went back to something else that I was doing at the time. Alright, so what you want to do here... Yeah. You want to make sure it actually... Because if you get it in the wrong spot, the line will just come straight back. And when you do it correctly, you'll get the fishing music when a fish shows up. But as it moves over to the right, it will despawn. And because the Treacherous Plunder spawns on each, like, fishing spawn attempt, basically every 5 seconds you're getting an attempt at a Treacherous Plunder. And the ideal thing you want to do is basically get a galleon of 4 people together and all fish in the same spot, because everyone's Treacherous Plunder, when you sell them, will count for the whole group. So I thought of doing this during the anniversary week, but ended up not really having the energy, and honestly the event was kind of a buzzkill for me, so didn't end up going live with... What? Okay. Right. Yes. So skeletons will spawn, and they will shoot at you. So what you want to do is you want to kill the ones with guns, and then leave the ones that can't shoot you alive. And there can only be 3 spawned at a time. So they're going to be making a lot of noise, and they're just going to hang out. Oh, right. Hold on. You also want to be pretty close to the edge. Because if you're too far away from the edge, the fishing line will collide with the rock that you're standing on, and it will cause you to fail reeling in the plunder. Yeah, so hopefully those minigames are fun at least. I've heard good things about Triple Triad. Kind of figured that collab stuff would be more like something that you would do a specific raid or something to get. Hello, Russell. I felt like showing off the Treacherous Plunder farming method and also the new NPC at Galleon's Grave. We're just taking a quick break because I unlocked extreme difficulty in Helldivers, and I was like, you know what? I don't want a solo extreme. But we got to show off Manties, which I wanted to do. Ah, very nice. I've heard that the new card game, Kings something in Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, whatever it's called. I forget which R words they're using for them to differentiate them. It's like Queen's Guard, King's Guard, something like that. I've heard that that card game is really good and people want it to be added to 14. So it does kind of hurt when you get like a Bright Pondy, for example, because those are rare fish. But Treacherous Plunder is much rarer. Because you'll see, we'll get like several Bright Pondies to spawn before we get a single piece of Treacherous Plunder. And the fact that when you get a Treacherous Plunder chance that it can be a plank of wood or an ashen key, that doesn't count. No, this is definitely like, hey, listen to a podcast or put some videos on your second monitor. But I thought, you know, it would be a fun, like, off-the-cuff stream experience to be like, oh, hey, we got a crew of 4 people just hanging out shooting the shit, you know, and like, everyone is fishing! The viewers can fish too! Wow! It's like he thought of it all. I have another fun idea. Wow, I got speaking of getting a plank, that's not a good sign. If the first piece of Treacherous Plunder that we get is a plank, that would be both disappointing and prophetic. Yeah, there's really not much more to say about this. Here's where we fill for time. So I mentioned this earlier. What's everyone's favorite kind of barbecue? Because I used to always, you know, go for pulled pork, but after a friend of mine made a convincing argument for brisket, I had that recently, and now I'm a brisket man. And not just in Guilty Gear. Also have a fun new emote from Lemon Fizzy Pop. They were doing some free emote draws. So now we got the Glizzy Gobbler. Rude. Let's grab that just to get the ammo out of the way. Something I didn't realize is apparently only the gun-toting skeletons drop ammo pouches, and I never knew that. Ghosts of all kinds apparently do, because they can switch between weapon types. Yeah, if for any particular reason someone wanted to commission a glizzy gobbler of their own. Here's where you can find them. I don't know if they plan to still, like, draw more from the thread that they had. But I suppose it's worth commenting. They mentioned that things would be selected randomly, so I don't know if they're doing like if they're using like a raffle tool or something like that. But it came out very cute. Still need to try a Costco hot dog. But the other night I did have a nice pork sausage to go with some brisket poutine with a very lovely jalapeno barbecue sauce. Also, Kuthlos found a brand of chips that came out recently from Frito-Lay, which seems like it's like the weirdest, like almost gamer focused branding, and I feel like it's going to be a marketing failure unless I start seeing like commercials and ads for it. Because in most places I'm seeing it, it's usually kind of out of the way in the store displays. It's called Havoc. It just seems like an off-brand that you'd find like at specific like specific grocery stores or whatever. That's just like, yeah, this is the knockoff of another product, and they kind of are. They kind of are, because like there's a chili lime one that is just Takis or Doritos Dinamita, which is also a knockoff of Takis, specifically the Fuego flavor, the chili lime. What's interesting is that they have different form factors, which also feels like that'll be a nail in his coffin, because I imagine that takes up a lot of resources at their manufacturing plant, because they have a ruffled one that's kind of like the extra crunchy ruffles. They're very thick cut, which I'm personally not a fan of, but it's a bulgogi, like Korean barbecue flavor. It's not bad, but it's my least favorite of the bunch. My favorite though is the smoky nacho flavor that they have, which comes in like a roti shape, like pasta, but made out of, you know, like a chip material. I think it's like a corn chip. I might be mistaken though. And it's very reminiscent of Cool Ranch Doritos, except spicy. There was actually back when I was a kid, there was a flavor of Tostitos. Now I know Tostitos nowadays is pretty like neutral flavored, like tortillas that like designed to be paired with like queso or salsa. But there used to be flavored ones back in the day, and Tostitos used to have a spicy quesadilla flavor that I loved, and this is actually very reminiscent of that. So I personally enjoy those quite a lot. Not me, just sitting here struggling to think of things to talk about. Let's just talk about snack food and chips. Well, let's tab out and see if there's any new game news. Why don't we? I certainly wouldn't mind doing like a podcast, but I definitely need someone to be like a regular for it. I would also need them to bring like some of their own stories to the table and not just the stuff that I look at on the regular. So apparently someone with some inside information on Resident Evil 9 suggests that RE9 might end up with an open world, kind of like Dragon's Dogma. Which is interesting. Also, I suppose like Monster Hunter Wilds. We're getting really unlucky with these enemy spawns. So, apparently, in response to the microtransaction kerfuffle with Dragon's Dogma 2, apparently there was a finite amount of Art of Metamorphoses that you could get from the Pawn Guild. Unlike the first game, where it eventually became unlimited, or you could buy one that would have unlimited uses. It's still not properly fixed, because apparently they've just increased the number to 99. Which is a bizarre choice. Just make it unlimited. Why is this a problem? And there's a demo for Stellar Blade that came out. Still PS5 exclusive though, so it's another game I would love to see to come to PC. Much like Final Fantasy 16. At least 16 is confirmed. Oh, that's cool. So there was a demo for Inazuma 11, the soccer RPG franchise from Level 5. There was a beta that was coming out in like 3 days for the Switch. Apparently there will be another beta to test crossplay. That will be available for both PlayStation consoles and PC. I don't know if that game is going to be free to play though, but it does have English trailers, so we're definitely getting it. It does specify that it's a worldwide beta test. So that's exciting, because we got like the first one for the DS, and I did get that one, and I I thought it was pretty fun, but I never got too far into it, to be completely honest. So I'm definitely more interested in this new one. I don't know if it's gonna have like multiplayer. Well, no, it just had crossplay, so yeah, of course it must. So that's interesting. Oh yeah, and I don't think I mentioned this on Steam, but there's a third Zenless Zone Zero beta coming out. I'm hoping that, similar to other Hoyoverse releases, that this last beta ends up coming out like just before launch. Not expecting anything to carry through to launch, of course. But it would definitely be nice if like they announced the launch date coming out soon after that. But the second beta, for some reason, had a lot of complaints about like TV mechanics, and like that has me wonder, like, okay, is this like the navigating the roguelike aspect? I just don't understand why there were no complaints about the TV gameplay. I'm doing air quotes for the first beta, but now like it was like literally what everyone was talking about with the second beta that I didn't get into. So I don't know if they added something or if they changed something or rebalanced it, but apparently people were complaining that there was more like puzzle solving and stuff and less combat. Well, of course, you have a gun. Do you mind? Well, uh-oh. This is where I think to myself, man, maybe I should have brought some fire bombs. What you used to be able to do is you used to be able to load up the Heart of Fire tall tale. So you could once you get to Tribute Peak, you could get rid of the Shroudbreaker, and you'd be fine. And the Heart of Fire tall tale would prevent like emergent skeletons from spawning. But apparently, like just at the beginning of season 11, they fixed that. Apparently, the first of the Ashen Age tall tales, Seabound Soul, can be used to prevent volcanoes from erupting nearby. I don't know if that's true or if that still works, but that was another tall tale that people recommended hanging on to. And then they would recommend holding on to like a checkpoint from any of the portal involved Pirates of the Caribbean thing, tall tales, so, or even like the Monkey Island one, so you could portal hop and change servers. But now you can just dive to other servers and keep your emissary flag, so no longer much of a need for that. So I think the only checkpoint I have anymore is just this one. I haven't really had an opportunity to lead somebody into the shroud, though. There is one moment where I definitely thought of it. I had like, what was I doing? Might have to check my DMs because I was messaging somebody about it while it was happening. I don't like it when the camera jerks around so much. That's just kind of how it is. No, not able to find it in my message history. Ah, yes. So I think I was like Emissary 3 or 5 while I was grinding Reapers. During the last double experience event. And I was just trying to dive. And you have to be like 2 map tiles away from another player's ship in order to dive. So I was just minding my own business, sailing in a particular direction. And then like a brig decided to chase me. And they chased me like pretty much all the way from like Galleon's Grave all the way south to Ancient Spire. And then like right when I reached there, I saw another ship was already at Ancient Spire. Because at that point, I think I had half a mind to just turn in my flag because I didn't want to give them anything. So then I started going north, and I was going to lead them into the Devil's Shroud. And then the ship that was at Ancient Spire gave chase, and I managed to hop off. Welcome on in, Ida. I managed to hop off, and I was able to swim to the brig that was chasing me and anchor them. And then the other ship caught up and started sinking them, and I was like, "Well, you guys are welcome." And then I'm on my way. I'm like, "Okay, now we can finally dive and play some like Hourglass PvP. This is great." Except they started chasing me, and then a ship spawned, like a skeleton ship spawned on me. I dealt with that. The ship that was now aggroed on me ignored the loot that I was just willing to give to them. They continued to chase me despite the fact that I had like nothing on me. And I think they were super sweaty, and they were even like claiming to be friendly, but then they kept chasing me, and I'm like, I don't believe you're friendly. And eventually they all like got on my ship and sunk me because it was like 3 players. I think it was another brig. I'm just like, man, that was a lot of time wasted. Like I think that ended up being like an hour of time wasted just trying to play the PvP and being denied by other players. And like it was at a point where the double experience weekend was close to ending. And I think because of that, I wasn't actually able to get to 100, and I had to do some grinding outside of that weekend or something like that. You know, it's funny when you approach a player in the game and they decide to be aggro, like right from step 1. As much as you want to tell them, like, hey man, I got nothing on my ship. They'll even if they're not playing Reaper, they will go after those emissary flags sometimes. Best thing you can do at that point is just go to an outpost and turn it in and say, you get nothing. Good day, sir. You lose. Man. How you doing today, Ida? Hope you're doing well. Curious how long this is going to take. Because like we even have a, because I I restarted my recording. We can even see, like, it's been 50 minutes since we booted up Sea of Thieves. Loaded up the checkpoint, got here, and we've been fishing since. So this is a, I mean, it's all RNG at the end of the day. The amount of time it takes for you to get Treacherous, one piece of Treacherous Plunder varies. Sometimes you get them, like, pretty soon, back to back. Sometimes it can be an agonizing wait like this. A book on plating, like the art of putting food on a plate and like decorative food placement. I read that and I'm like, like armor plating. I'm like, no, chef man, plate, food, pretty, yes. Words are allowed to have multiple meanings. Yeah, plating is one of those things that I personally do not have any interest in. All my photos with my cell phone turn out terrible, so there's really not much point in me trying to make a decent presentation of anything I want to take a picture of. Yeah, that does sound like a can of worms. It almost sounds like, to me, styling would refer to stuff like they do for commercials, where they, like, spray food with things to make it look extra shiny. Hey, there it is. Old Skull. 52 minutes, 33 seconds from boot of the game. All right, Horatio, let's get out of here. Gotcha. So thankfully there is a sea post that is reasonably close by. I still think with how rare Treacherous Plunder is, it should be counted like rare fish and you should only need 10 of them. But alas, that's not the case. Also, these are counted like trinkets, so you would need like a collector's chest or something if you wanted to like offload a whole bunch of them. So we're gonna go southwest to 3 paces east. We haven't really done proper like... Let's see. Have we shut off the curse emotes? Probably. Skeleton dance. Yeah. Here we go. That's what our guy looks like currently. I'm honestly really just hoping to run into a ghost player sooner than later, so that I can get that last cosmetic. And go back to human form. Hey, you know, we managed to get this done in less than an hour. Not too bad. Not too bad, all things considered. I've been having a thought to maybe do some Grand Brewers Legends, because the weekly reset just happened, and I reckon, like, just after work, just after the weekly reset, a lot of people might be playing it, getting their 10 weekly matches done. So it'd be nice to try and grind that up to 50 if possible. But at the same time, I feel like it would be more fun if we had some people around that would like to play it too. So we could see some familiar faces in the queue. So I don't know. We'll see how we feel after we do some reeling. Because now that we've unlocked chapter selection, I'd like to go back to chapter 4 and complete those 2 achievements we didn't do. And then we can complete chapter 0. I do think it was clever of them to introduce chapter 0 as like, hey, now's the time where we're gonna teach you how to do missions. Because that is the second half of the video game. If the story is like 22 to 25 hours, you know, the rest of the playtime is going to be Monster Hunter. And I suppose if you think about it, that's kind of like the structure of Monster Hunter World in a way. Because Monster Hunter World, they did not want you watching those cutscenes with friends. Always weirds me out seeing barrels of plenty spawned in the Devil's Shroud. Oh, we'd probably be going faster if our sails were forward. Oh wait, no, we were actually catching wind. Alright. Yeah, our heading looks good. I'm not really seeing it, though. There it is. Because it was blending in with the rocks behind it. Interesting how we're still getting the tribute peak music even though we've left it. Looks like it just detects when you've reached the island, and then it's basically like, yeah, this is now the background music you're listening to. Oh, yeah. We can show off the sea glass rapier, which was the 6th anniversary weapon you got for doing 8 of the legendary messages in a bottle. I think it looks all right. Not the biggest fan of how the rapiers look because the weapons are usually mostly used for slashing, and I kind of wish it was a bit more translucent. Sea glass is very cool, though. I wonder if you can get like mugs, like a beer mug made out of sea glass. I imagine so, but I've never looked. Okay, here you go. Goodbye, friend. So now, yep, 20 is the next goal. All right, well, that's enough Sea of Thieves for now.